G'day YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to today's, well, it's a bit of a serious video this time because maybe I'm not as angry as before, but I tell you what I've actually seen so far has been deeply appalling during my trip all the way back from college, after college. And I mean, I had a nice time studying at college, of course. And of course, yes, you guys thought I was going to be doing a video about this. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to save this for later in another video because I'll tell you what, this puzzle is just frying my brain, but I've got one serious thing to talk about. One serious thing I'm actually referring to is just how violent the bus rider was. I took bus number Route 7, and unfortunately what was going on was, oh my goodness me, this is going to pretty much shock the rest of Birmingham, and I could tell you what that guy's saying. Not really impressed. The bus journey from number 7 to the city centre, it was just deemed unsafe. Really, one thing that should have been done in the first place was that if there were like ticket conductors on the bus, really, that's really what I'm thinking. Like they just don't have that kind of thing. Really, that's just pretty much what I'm saying here. So. Going back to the subject I was in bus number 7, just as I was coming up from Pink College, from the local Aston Hall. That obviously was quite a very historical comeback. And actually a fantastic comeback, actually, after the Easter holidays, because mind you, the Easter holidays putting up so much pressure upon me. In fact, my yearly basis is still trundling along. Bloody hell. I tell you what, when I went in the bus, everything started peaceful. So then I arrived at the bus stop. Let me tell you what really happened. There's been a massive, bit of a major incident that happened on my area. No way, it was actually on the area not far away from the local Aston Hall Football Club. And I think it's one of those things. Yet again, it's one of these things where you have drunk people in the bus. And unfortunately, I had cases where people were smoking in the bus before. I think it was in another residence that I used to live. But yeah, it's one of these things. And of course, yes, I think what really happened was there was this guy here. I think what really happened was there was just a couple of drunk people waiting at the bus stop. And I think it was the one where bus route 7 would have actually went away from, I think it was just away after from the train station, I think it was. No, wait, it was Wootton train station. Then it actually did a roundabout, and then all of a sudden it just parked. But I think what was happening before that was that I think what really happened was that the bus stop was pretty. It wasn't too packed. It was just normal. But then what really happened was that there was a couple of drunk guys that were just being relatively happy in a sense. They were just cheerful, and then they were just pretty much chatting normally in a sense, but they were also quite, I would say a little drunk. I would say a lot drunk than I've actually have seen somehow. Well, luckily for me though, I'm actually one of these people who is neither a drinker or a smoker. That's one thing I can definitely say here. I neither drink or smoke. And please understand me about this. And I can't really talk about of just how much impulsivity there was at the bus stop. And I tell you what, the impulsive behavior I'm just really appalled of. And I could tell you what, I had this haunted look. I was just, mind you, I had this most haunting experience at bus route 7. And of course, I did not stand up, but I was just really stunned. Now, what really stunned was that when I went in the bus, guess what happened? Both drunk people. There was one that had a drunk wife and a husband. And guess what? There was also another, guess what really happened? Another one drunk person. There was another drunk man. I think he had like a wooden plank. I think he was walking back and forth on the bus. And oh my God, that really made me confused. And that made me feel a little bit paranoid. And I just thought, what the hell is going on with the bus stops these days? And I mean, what's going on? I mean, what the hell is going on with the buses at the National Express West Midlands Community? I mean, what the hell is going on here? And I just thought, what the hell is going on with people these days? And I mean, I just don't give an absolute crud about people who are absolutely drunk on buses. And I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And I mean, really, my life isn't really inundated with just drunkenness in a sense there. And I mean, I've already endured some one of the most dangerous things I had in my life. And, I did some pretty horrible things back then. Really horrible things. But of course, yes, I'm just going to move that aside. And of course, yes, I know what really happened. And I'll tell you what, I was just completely stunned of just how atrocious and just absolutely diabolical the behavior it was. And I'll tell you what, I think it was the door. And unfortunately, there was a couple of drunk people who were just being angry for no reason. And mind you, guess what? Oh my goodness me. There were a couple of very rowdy and angry and drunk people. Well, it was like two drunk men. One of them was basically like punching right back at the guy. I think the other one which had like a wooden plank. And I think he was shouting like, "Get out! Get out!" And obviously that was just like, it was like a wrestling match. It was a little bit like a straw doll wrestling match. And oh my god, I could tell you what this, the National Express West Midlands, you need to get an act together. And obviously I can't believe what really has happened. And I'm just stunned. Maybe I need to pretty much talk on what's been happening recently. Maybe I need to have a bit of a chit chat about the absolute appalling state that I've seen when I was actually waiting at the bus stops. And I mean, I'm not talking about the shoulders and stuff, the raindrop that fell into my shoulders. And I mean, I don't want to mention about that. I really don't, okay? Because it's rattling my brain. The other thing I really want to talk about is, of course, now. Situations wise, stranger things have happened. And of course, yes, I've noticed that, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And I mean, if this happens again, I'm never coming back to bus route 7. I will be going to college, safe and sound, but it's just one of those things, Of course, yes, it all ends up, starts off nice and peaceful, but then the situation begins when you have a couple of drunk people, and then the situation goes vile, and then the bus driver, unfortunately, has actually gone into a complete mental existential crisis, and I think, what the hell is going on here? Now, of course, yes, it was just brutal, and I think people were fighting in the bus, and I actually was quite scared. In fact, there was a lot of people. In fact, it was like a herd of people who were just completely, just stunned. It was like a group. It felt like I was just a complete, victim. Well, I wasn't hurt or anything. In fact, we were just both stunned and scared, and why was that really needed? Okay, so that incident really needs to be reported to the police. I think there was a guy who had like a wooden plank, and I think he was wearing like some weird grey sort of winter hat type thing. And really, that really needs to be sorted out by the police. And I mean, really, that's just completely unacceptable. And I mean, what gives the right for people to be drunk? And I mean, why the hell this country is so overzealous with alcohol? And then, of course, yes, you've just got people fighting in the middle of the street and then getting in the bus for no reason, just to get psycho about. It makes no sense. And I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Really, I'm just really sick and tired of just people who are just completely ruthlessly drunk and I mean, trying to ruin the whole day. I mean, give me a break. That's really what was happening. Okay, so I wasn't hurt or anything. I think there was just two men that were just basically arguing and fighting each other. They're basically like just giant titanium, like giant titans. And really they're just like giant titan toddlers. And obviously that was just, oh man, whenever I can really start talking about it, I mean, it was just completely scary. It was also intimidating, and it was quite just gutted. I was just so gutted seeing that. Really, of course, there was a couple of drunk people, and I mean, the other guy, I think that person, I think the both of them they were just f-bombing and swearing. Unfortunately, there was a lot of cursing and raising their voices and stuff. Unfortunately, they were drunk, both of them. So what really happened next was that when they actually started punching, and then I think there was this whole bit with, I can't really remember what words they said, but I remember that the guy with the wooden plank, he said, "Get out," obviously, in a very, just a very, very bad-tempered man, really. Obviously, I just can't really think of just how horrific the bus trip it has been. And really, if this happens again, well then I might as well just swap taking the train. Okay, so maybe I can just take the train in the afternoon, and in that way, nothing will just be as violent as that. And I mean, really, that really just goes to show on how just completely humiliating a scene like this. It's just really mortifying, and it really doesn't make any sense. Okay, so obviously, apart from sorry about the rant though, but it's just I'm just kind of really deeply appalled about what happened over the last 2 hours, and I think that incident with the people who were fighting in the bus. I think it was bus route number 7. I think they were just having a go at each other. They were raising their voices, unfortunately. And I think, of course, yes, one of the passengers, I think, they did speak to the police about that one complete incident. And that was just completely and utterly, that was just unfair, really. Obviously, I just hope the National Express West Midlands can acknowledge this. And really, obviously, this really grinds my gears whenever I think of, antisocial behaviour and impulsive, but I'm very much, on the verbal and physical abuse side of public transport. And I mean, this is just a complete shame. A complete shame of just going into buses and behaving like that. Really, is that really what, passengers should be like? Just drunk and all? Well, we'll have to really rethink about this again. And really, that needs to stop. And I'm sorry, this has to stop. And I might show you the wiki page of how much antisocial behaviour has been like on buses. But, there is one thing in particular that I've noticed with a lot of buses across the UK. And of course, yes, it's like that with many National Express Westman buses and other buses across the UK. Is that, of course, yes, when you've got an antisocial behaviour problem, you can definitely ring whatever phone number you're in, and you can definitely report the incident about it, and then you can just hand it over to the police, and etc, etc, etc. I don't want to go too fully detailed into it. So that was the one thing that was happening. It just gets wilder and wilder and wilder, and of course, yes, as always as it sounds, stranger things have happened. And I mean, it really has been strange. And I mean, I had a very good time at college. But yes, unfortunately, I came across some very ruthless and very bad people that has caused a lot of riffraff across Aston and Witton, which just doesn't make any sense. Why should people be drunk and get pretty much argy-bargy about it, and then they just start fighting the hell out of it? I mean, really, that just doesn't make any sense. Just hurting each other. Really, it's even more pretty much worse. It's like in par with people getting stabbed in this country. I mean, you can really paint a picture. It's a little bit like, if you go to America, you see a lot of gun attacks. You see a lot of gun attacks in the United States. In the UK, you've got a lot of massive stabbings. And really, that just really just, when I just saw that fighting scene, oh my God, in the bus today, that really did shiver my spine. And I mean, I could tell you what, it just gets absolutely scary, I tell ya. I really don't believe this. Why should a bus route like number 7, the one I've taken so far from Birmingham to Aston, or actually the one I've taken from Aston to the city centre, should just actually end up with violence? And really, that should never ever happen. Really, I hope the National Express West Midlands Public Transport Company is basically listening to us. I hope the company is pretty much hearing about this. I'm sure they've learned about what's going on with the incidents, and that's it. I hope they're all going to be listening to what I've just said about what's been happening with the rest of the trip. And really, it shouldn't happen again. It really shouldn't, because I'm one of these. I may be quite stupid, but I'm actually quite a loyal and courteous person. Of course, yes. I don't really seem to resort to violence anymore now. I mean, that really is a big, big sign that I'm just pretty much, really disheartened. I'm so completely disheartened by the amount of scenes that was going on here. And really, the guys that were just kicking and punching, and then the bus driver had to, I think there was a bit of a massive tirade, and oh my God. I tell you what, one of the passengers did tell, I think after that, I think what really happened was that the guy with the plank, he then sort of retreated back after yelling out "get out" to the other passenger, who I believe was drunk. I think what really happened was after that, the guy who was also drunk, I think there was another guy. I think he was wearing like grey clothes and a hoodie. I can't really remember. I think he was just he was telling the driver to proceed, and then the other passengers agreed, and then it just gets even more worse. Why should this happen? Really, that should have never happened in the first place, man. That was just, bone shaking. Just completely gutted, and, that's just the whole thing, You can just call the police and all that whatnot and stuff. It's just one of these things. Unfortunately, the world just gets deeper and deeper and deeper when you've got a lot of cranky people these days. I'm sorry I have to really put up a bit of a fight, but I know you understood so far with the incident that was happening. And it's not my fault, obviously, it's the other guys. And really, I was just so stunned. And thank God I was reassured somehow with the amount of people. And I did speak to the bus driver about the incident, and really, I was just appreciative of just speaking of what the hell was going on. And really, that incident should pretty much be disdained and denied forever and ever, ever, as just being a complete thing that should have never been happening in the first place. I better leave it here, and I might as well just have a look at the wiki page about antisocial behaviour on buses from the National Express West Midlands. Of course, hopefully they can recognise what's going on here. Well, I'm actually on the feed tab of buses and all, because I'm just pretty much appalled by what has been happening so far with the behaviour that has been happening on bus number 7, which is the one that I normally tend to take. And of course, as I'm just scrolling around here and there, I'm just pretty much looking at what the hell was going on here. And there you go. Obviously, there's been a complete and utter incident that has been happening overall, and I'm just really shocked. I did not even expect a complete and utter mug fight of just a couple of guys who are just so drunk, and really that just doesn't make any sense. And there you go, there's a bit of reading here. You can have a bit of a read about crime and stuff, and antisocial behaviour, and ticket inspections, and violence, and as well as vandalism. And I'm pretty much it's one of these things, people can be very, very, very aggressive and impulsive these days. And unfortunately, it's one of these things, there's a lot of antisocial behaviour within it there, of course. And really, I'm so glad that they really are sponsored by the West Midlands Police. I'm really happy to know about that. And I'm just kind of, pretty mortified over the amount of crime, disorder, and antisocial behaviour that was going on so far, at least. Now, of course, yes, I can tell you what the guys say. You may think Birmingham is one of the safest and one of the most livable cities to live in this country. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it's not. But anyways, I think that's probably about it in this very strange and very alienistic video, and also quite a very dark story to talk about here. Because really, I'm totally very much a light-hearted guy who often makes light-hearted content. But really, it seems like that today really has been such a very strange and spooky experience. And I wasn't really one, it was just the two people who were drunk at the same time who did it at the first place. Anyways, I think that's about it in this video. I hope no incidences will occur, pretty much. Just 0 incidents free, of course, with antisocial behaviour and other whatnot. So, please give this video a like, subscribe for more for that videos in the future. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and goodbye for now. And I hope this antisocial behaviour thing should pretty much come to an end. In a sense that people like the guy with the plank should pretty much be arrested. As I'm making this video here, as always. Bye now.